Hey guys, what's going on? My name's ClickPanda33, and I'm back in my old room. I don't know if it's ever been explicitly mentioned in any of my projects. I think the woodworking bench, or like the workbench video, would have been the biggest indicator that I've moved out of my parents' house. But I'm back here wrapping Christmas presents, and before I wrap this and inevitably give it to my sister for Christmas, I wanted to make a video on this wooden box that I made her. I made my mom a much smaller one this time last year. I think exactly this time last year, because I remember I finished it on Christmas Eve. So, luckily, I managed to get myself off my ass and build this one within a reasonable time before before the actual Christmas day. But I think it turned out really well. It's not perfect. I am a hobbyist woodworker, but it's handmade. It's got a really, really fucking nice finish to it. I only sanded to 220, but holy shit, it is fucking buttery smooth. Yeah. So I just wanted to show it off. My favorite part is kind of subtle, especially on camera, but it's the dowel pins. There's what, 3, 6, there's 8 on the front and back, and then just 2 smaller ones on the sides. It's always been an aesthetic that I really liked. I'm hoping my sister will like it as well. But I've always just enjoyed the look of the dowel pins not just being there for, you know, structural purposes, and you're trying to match the grain as best you can so you can't hardly even see them. The box itself, excuse me, is made out of pine. And then the pins are oak. So the difference in color, especially after I applied the stain, I think it looks very, very good. And you know, I went into Lowe's. I decided that I was going to make the height of the box minus the lid, just the width of the board. So I got 1x12, which is actually 11 1/4. So that's the height of my box. So I did all my measurements. I decided, yeah, with that height, 18 inches is a good width. So I made it into 18 inches wide. I decided that my side piece, this is another gift from my sister, the side pieces will be inside the front and back, and that extended the depth. I also decided to cut these pieces into squares, so they would essentially be 11 1/4 by 11 1/4, because I thought it looked nice, and I think it does look nice. But my dumbass neglected to realize the fact that doing those on the inside made it so the total depth increased by 3/4 in the front, 3/4 in the back, 1.5 inches total. So instead of 11 1/4, it was 12 3/4 inches, which made my lid too small because the lid was still just the width of the board, 11 1/4 inches. So I shaved 3/4 of an inch off of each side, so that made it narrower. I'm not going to try and do the math in my head and embarrass myself. But it made it slightly more rectangular than square. Not like by a horrible amount, especially when you put the 1.5 inches back on with the thickness of the front pieces. But obviously that still would have made it too short. So I took an offcut, glued it to the front, and then 2 shorter offcuts to fill in the 3/4 inch gap on either side. And then I used leftover oak dowel. You can't see where I'm pointing. Leftover oak dowel to do the handle, which I think makes it gives it a really solid, like, overall look, because you have the oak in the dowels on all 4 sides, as well as the handle, which I think really ties it together. If I were going to do it differently, I probably would have, instead of gluing this to the front, I would have glued it to the back as one solid piece, and I would have made that oak as well. I think that would also look rather good. But I think it turned out very well as is. I'm very happy with it. Was there anything else I wanted to go over? Like I said, it's not perfect. I think right here was my only really major chip out. I was drilling the hole for the dowel, and then that chipped out. And then I was experimenting with drilling straight through here so I could thread this dowel through to make the handle. Well, in all of my test pieces, they got destroyed. I mean, there's like, you know, 1/8 of an inch on either side, so there just wasn't enough material left, and oak isn't a strong enough, or no, but pine isn't a strong enough wood to handle that kind of stress, especially with shitty drill bits that I own. So what I did instead, because you can still see dowel, so what gives? So what I did was I essentially cheated. I glued up the lid, and then I glued the dowel in between after cutting it like as close to that interior width as I could so it would kind of pressure fit. Glued that in as well, and then I just drilled in a normal like 1/8 inch diameter hole for pilot hole for a screw. And I don't have any actual countersink bits, so then I just used what was that? I think that's a 3/8 dowel. So I used a 3/8 drill bit to essentially countersink it. So the screw is hidden inside, can't see it at all. You'd never know it was there if I didn't tell you it was there. And then I capped it with dowel to make it look like it went all the way through. And that's actually a smaller dowel. That's 3/8. The actual handle is 1/2 inch. So if you were paying really close attention, you'd probably be able to go, something's not right there. But yeah, overall, even with, you know, a few minor setbacks, I think it turned out very well, and I think my sister is going to love it. But that is it for the time being. Next time I post will probably be the next time I make a project worth showing off, which I've already got 1 or 2 that I could, and I just haven't yet. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about the box, about construction, about its construction, not construction in general. But if you have any questions for me about the box or about life in general, leave a comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.